Uh, okay, hey everyone, welcome to my fourth episode of Sell Your Classic Film to a Noob. Today, our contestant will be Holden Martinson, who is a fellow film guy from Utah. I have known him on Facebook, where he posts a lot of long form and very insightful essays on film just out of nowhere, and he's trying to get into the writing game. So hopefully this will help. And Genna Beth, tell me about your interest in films. I understand you're somewhat of a theater person.
Yes, I enjoy theater. I work in theater. I occasionally see films, but I do not have an extensive background in film watching. So,
Okay, so the way the game works is that me and Holden will both pitch a film that is an older film, a classic film, to Genna Beth, and she decides which one she likes better. If she has seen the film, we sacrifice the points. Whoever wins best of 3 rounds wins the game, and they get a copy of Eva Gardner's biography, and it is 528 pages long. So if you wanted a little bit of Eva Gardner, it's going to be hard to do that from this book. It's a lot of Eva Gardner. I've read the first 20 pages and I haven't even gone to her yet. It's like they're on her grandfather and her family history dating back 100 years. So
planting the seeds for the gardener.
Yes. So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, do you want to go first or second for the first round, Holden?
Can I go second? That way I can get a feel for the game.
So my film is the 1963 film. It's a Mad World by Stanley Kramer. It is a comedic film, but Stanley Kramer was a person who was very socially conscious. He made a lot of films like The Defiant One, The Defiant One's an interracial film, Judgment at Nuremberg, Inherit the Wind, two really great court films. Courtroom
Inherit
dramas.
the Wind is a play.
Yes, and I would equally recommend. I think that is one of my favorite movies. This is a film basically where someone on the side of the Nevada desert on a highway dies, and he reveals that there's lots and lots of money available in a faraway town in California, and that he says it's behind two trees marked in an X, and there are four separate parties that hear this person talk about this big pile of money, and the next thing you know, they are in this winner takes all race where nothing is off limits, and they break 8 million laws en route to California. And there's a cop played by Spencer Tracy, which normally I don't. I mean, you might not know who Spencer Tracy is, so that's probably not a selling point. But he's an important person, I guess.
He's in Inherit the Wind.
Which is a great film, yeah. And this movie was remade in 2001 as the film Rat Race with Cuba Gooding Jr.
I saw that one.
And Oprah Winfrey, Whoopi Goldberg and John Lovitz. And what I love about this film is that it is a comedy, but it's a very it has a big social message, which is basically if enough money is on the line, people will tear society to pieces. I think because everyone's just breaking all the rules possible because money's on the line. And I think it's a bit of a deeper film than people give it credit for. Also, it's like a variable who's who of all the people who were famous in the 1960s comedically. There weren't a lot of names that I actually knew, and I still haven't seen a lot of them, but it's a very, I think it's a very funny and a very deep film. Holden, have you seen that one?
I have. I like It's a Mad World. Trying to think if I got all the mads in there. But yeah, it's like you said, it's a good farce about these greedy strangers all brought together by this fabulous prize, and it's a great showcase for a lot of the comedic personalities of the day, like Milton Berle and Buddy Hackett and Mickey Rooney and Jonathan Winters and other people, and there are numerous cameos throughout of famous screen legends and whatnot. One of whom I'll probably bring up in the course of this game. But it's a long movie, but it's well worth your time. It just goes and goes and goes.
All right, Holden, what is your movie?
My movie is 1924's Sherlock Jr., which is a 45-minute silent comedy by the legend himself, Buster Keaton, about a movie projectionist who wants to be a detective. And when he is caught in a crime of his own, he dreams of his own glory and the magic of the movies, and all kinds of hilarious hijinks ensue. And in classic Buster Keaton fashion, all of the insane things you see in the movie, he does pretty much for real, like riding a bicycle through the street, through traffic, past an oncoming train and just barely being missed, as well as other smaller bits of character humor that he could do just as well as the fantastic stunts he often did in his most famous features. But yeah, like if ever you wanted to explore silent film, I think Sherlock Jr. is a great place to start, not only because it's short and so the challenges of having no spoken dialogue are out of the way. It's so funny. I've seen it many times over the years, and it never fails to hold up as a thoroughly astonishing and hilarious piece of filmmaking. It's so good and well worth your time.
Okay.
Mhm.
All
Now
right, you're in the driver's seat.
Well,
won?
I'm sorry, there's no competition here. It's the Buster Keaton movie because I love Buster Keaton.
Have you seen Sherlock Jr.?
No, I have
Oh,
seen some small things, and I tried to buy the Buster Keaton like full collection, his whole works, and it was like $300. So then I just moved on and did something else. But
I mean,
that's good. I will look into that one.
Mhm.
Sorry, Oren. There's no contest there.
I've seen the general. I actually liked Harold Lloyd a lot. Was saved
Harold
the
Lloyd is
best from the
great.
freshman. I have not. I guess I saw one Buster Keaton film in class. I haven't seen that one. But I mean, it's also interesting to note that the silence were largely based on physical comedy and
yeah, they were theater performers. They were vaudeville.
Vaudeville, yeah.
Yeah, and well, Buster Keaton's kind of the predecessor to Jackie Chan in a way, where it's stunt work, and it's stunt work that evokes a bunch of emotions out of you, and one of them is laughter, but it's also a little like sense of danger. Like he has a little twist to it.
Well, yeah, and he was the deadpan guy, so
yes, the stone face, yeah.
Stone face, yeah, which is so hard to do, actually.
Yeah, especially when he's almost dying in like half of his scenes.
All right, Holden, you go first for round 2.
Okay, so the next movie I want to showcase is another older comedy. This is one of my, again, another personal favorite, from 1942, I believe. Ernst Lubitsch's To Be or Not to Be, which is starring Jack Benny and Carol Lombard as actors. If you like theater, you're going to love this. Actors in Nazi-occupied Poland, attempting to help. What are they trying to do? The plot is kind of complicated, but basically they get involved with trying to thwart the occupation and trying to get themselves out of Warsaw in the middle of the war. And it has this really serious sounding premise, but again, it is so funny. Just the kinds of weird beats and jokes throughout the whole thing, without ever trivializing the threat of the German occupation, or anything like that, while still being made in a time where people are aware of this happening, and of World War II sort of spreading throughout Europe and whatnot. In the middle of it, Ernst Lubitsch goes back to his home country with this story, as these untrained actors, untrained in military affairs and espionage, have to sort of act their way out of danger. And it's just so silly and strange and weirdly progressive in some of its sexual politics. But above all, it's a really, really good time. You can't go wrong with it.
So I've seen, I think the remake of it. Was it Jack Benny and Carol Lombard? I think I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a remake that Mel Brooks is in. He did not direct it.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
think,
that one.
yeah,
It's
and
it's definitely one of his
mhm,
the sort of hypermanic, kind of loud version of Mel Brooks fits in very
mhm,
well with To Be or Not to Be. I will agree with
mhm,
that. Since Holden Martinson did a comedy, it's worth noting Lubitsch was more of a continental. I think his genre was more continental comedy. I preferred screwball comedies of the era, which is why I'm going to
mhm,
throw one of my favorites at you. This one is called Ball of Fire from
mm,
1941. Um, as screwball comedies, just a slight bit of background, I think they were popularized during the Great Depression, where a lot of audiences that were pretty sure they were going to stay in the lower class forever enjoyed watching people overcome class differences over the course of a couple hours and like make a love pairing, and that made him feel temporarily better
mhm,
about never gonna get into the upper class. So Holden mentioned sexual politics. A lot of these things deal with deal with the haves and have-nots in a lot of ways. One is more sexual politics, maybe which of the two is more experienced, which of the two is more socially adept, and it's also comprised with all sorts of politics in terms of new money, old money, education, which is what Ball of Fire does. And the best screwball comedies mix and match a lot of these elements. So in this case, we have a professor of linguistics who has no idea the slang and the milieu that people are saying outside of his outside of his study. So he goes and he meets this person played by Barbara Stanwyck, who is just a mouthful of so much fun 1930s slang, and that's one of my favorite things about this movie. She says all kinds of things like, "Oh, you keep flopping your gums, and you this is what we call corn and corn dogs, and you shut your gams," and I don't know. She says all kinds of really great things. And if you love 1930s dialogue, this movie is about a lexicographer who's trying to update his dictionary. So it has all the excuse in the world to be able to revel into this dialogue, and it's also the thing that separates these two characters, because one person is, she's not dignified, she's not have a high education, but she is in touch with what's on the streets. It's a very so the woman is played by Barbara Stanwyck, who, I don't know if you know her. She was really, I think, the best of her generation in terms of like fast, snappy, fun dialogue. She was in some film noirs where she was very dark, and she would say all kinds of things, this kind of racy dialogue with some of her leading men. And when it was comedy, she was able to also fire off a lot of really great zingers really fast. So she's just really a delight here. And the professor is played by Gary Cooper, who is this. He's kind of the stiff guy who was used a lot in westerns, and here his stiffness works to his advantage because he's just very aloof and he's very adorkable. And it's just so hilarious that she basically kind of melts him, like, it's like defrosting the ice queen, but with like a dorky old professor. And the movie's also a little bit, I'm aware that, just having read about it, the movie is based on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to some degree, because this guy lives in this house for people putting an encyclopedia together, and there are seven old men who are like supposed to be the dwarves. So there's like this allegory in it, and it really is everything that I imagine a great school, like 1930s dialogue was at its best, and that's what I love it the most. But I also give a lot to Barbara Stanwyck, and the plot is very labyrinthine, and it's great as well.
mhm.
All right.
Yeah, hard to go
Well,
wrong with those classic screwball comedies, Howard Hawks comedies like those. So
this one is harder. I feel like you both made good case for the film, and I would see them both, to be honest. But I'm gonna go with Orange this time. What's the name of it again?
Ball of Fire.
Ball of Fire.
I would have gone Ball of Fire. That sounds good.
Yeah, and that little bit at the end about the
Yeah.
dwarves, that even was like, well, now.
Oh yeah, and those 7 dwarf actors are really, they're like these adorable old men who are just, oh, and they have like no sex lives of their own, so they're like rooting vicariously through this one guy to like get the girl, and they're just like, they're also like conspiring to like set the two up, like, you know, like the candelabra does in Beauty and the Beast, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
all right. All right, round 3. Holden, why don't you go first this time?
Okay. So the last one, we're gonna jump forward in time to 1972 with what's his name? He did Bullet.
Steve McQueen?
No, the director. Not Peter. Peter Yates. Peter Yates, 1972 adaptation of the Donald Westlake novel, The Hot Rock. This is just an absolute surprise. I saw this a little while ago, and it's my only regret is that it can be a little hard to find, but it's well worth seeking out. It is about these two thieves played by Robert Redford and George Siegel, rest in peace, who are trying to steal this diamond with their band of misfits. And every time they try to steal it, it just leads to another heist. So one heist leads to another heist, leads to a prison break, leads to a covert bank robbery, and it is just one thrilling set piece after another, with the tension of, are these guys going to be caught or not? And they're so funny together. The script and the performances are just crackling with energy, like, and all of this sort of petty back and forth, and the whole time they're sparring with Zero Mostel, and the finale of it is just so satisfying. Your spirit just leaves your body, and you get to see Robert Redford in his prime, looking so unbelievably hot and being so incredibly charming the entire time. It is it's just the most fun you'll have. Like, and there are no shortage of great like heist movies, and this belongs in the pantheon with your Ocean's 11 or whatever you have. Just
okay,
Oh,
an actual miracle, a very, very underrated movie.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think, well, I think starting in the 1960s, the studios freed their directors to go to Europe and exotic locations, which lent their way to Pink Panther, Tikpaki, Charade, Gambit, and all kinds of heist movies, and then they started getting popular. So without knowing the location of your film, I imagine it probably was, I mean, it was the era of kind of like the really continental European suave heist. And I also agree that Robert Redford was a really charming guy in his prime. Personally, I'm straight, but even I could say that I feel very comfortable saying that. What I don't understand is that he was always married. He was always was paired with Paul Newman, who got 8 or 9 Oscar nominations, and Robert Redford only got 1. But I always thought he was certainly more talented. Like, he was pulling more of his weight when they were equals on screen.
Yeah, I'm more of a Redford guy, I think. I love Paul Newman, though.
And George Siegel is from my family, my mom's side of the family. They live in this ethnic enclave in Great Neck, New York, where George Siegel is from. So I've always been a fan of him. I know he played the banjo, and was a favorite on the Tonight Show. But I'm throwing some trivia around. Speaking of continental kind of, this sort of the era of the glossy, luxurious 1960s, I want to talk about a film I discovered recently through my series on best supporting actress winners, which I encourage everyone to watch. It's from 1963. It's a film called The VIPs. It is an ensemble film. There are 4 plots. The main plot, and it's basically about a bunch of rich people at an airport, and a bunch of stuff is on the line. I do love great ensemble films, and it really balances things well, because there are 2 plots that are very frivolous, and 1 plot that really is very endearing, and then another plot which is has a lot of pathos and a lot of you could make a whole dark play about this plot. So the main plot stars Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, and Louis Jordan, who was one of the villains of the Roger Moore era of James Bond, and also a very charming guy in his own right. And Elizabeth Taylor is about to break up with Richard Burton, and she doesn't have the guts to tell Louis Jordan. And Louis Jordan's just so suave. He's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm gonna steal your wife from you, right now. It's okay, no big deal." He's just so casual about it, and it's if he bought this energy to his Bond role, he could have totally killed Bond right then and there. He felt like Sean Connery were just frozen to his feet, and he is just so smooth. And this is a film, but it's a film that there's a lot of crying and emotion over this whole love triangle, and it's very rich. And this came out at a time when Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, they were kind of canoodling with each other on the set of this famous movie, and it made all the headlines. And they're kind of serial marriers. Like Elizabeth Taylor was like Princess Di, levels of fame. And what was interesting is their actual follow-up film was called The Sandpiper, which is a film that was kind of disappointing to audiences, where there wasn't this electricity, and people were wondering, because they were they were having this epic romance, would it translate on screen? And Sandpiper was a film that had a lot more publicity. This film, they said, let's just try to get this film out there. And they had a lot of amazing passion in this movie. There's also a plot with Orson Welles where he's trying to get to Switzerland by midnight so he could escape tax laws. There's a plot with Margaret Rutherford, who's a bit of a physical comedy. Older woman, she's trying to sell off her estate or something, or raise money for her estate in Florida. And then there's another and she won the Oscar for it for Best Supporting Actress, is Margaret Rutherford. And then there is a really sweet plot where there's this executive who has to get to New York and sign a bill, or else he'll be defrauded, because he wrote a check to himself that he can't cash, and the board is going to take it from him. And his secretary is played by Maggie Smith, who is one of the great actresses. This was just her 2nd or 3rd role, and she was, I think, 28 or 29 when it happened. And she kind of has this crush on him, but it's very subtle, and it's hidden in the fact of professional admiration and all this stuff. And I actually think the Oscar should have gone to Maggie Smith, but she got a bunch of them later. But it's just a really good class. I babbled on a bit too much about this, but they're just all these plots. And I mean, the key thing is there's a lot of plots, really great actors, and this just general theme of rich people in crisis kind of a thing.
Okay, what were the names of these 2 movies again?
Mine was called The VIPs.
Mine was The Hot Rock.
Oh, okay.
What if there was a rock that was hot?
Yeah, and he talked about hot actors, but Louis Jordan's very suave. I will say that.
Well, I don't know. It's a toss-up again for me. But I think Robert Redford is who I'd like to see on the screen. So I love Liz Taylor too, but Robert Redford.
Yeah, Liz Taylor is very glamorous.
Oh God, she's great.
We love Liz Taylor.
It's just I don't know, maybe it's just a mood thing, but the heist one sounded more interesting to me. Rich people,
Yeah, but some of the rich people are in danger of becoming poor if they don't get out of the airport. The airport's shut down during fog, so and Richard Burton.
I was promised my soul would leave my body. By Holden, I would have a transformational experience.
It's just a perfect ending. I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for both of you playing. Holden won this round, which means he gets that book on Ava Gardner.
I've never won an Ava Gardner biography before. This is a great honor.
528 pages long, so I will send it to you.
Okay, now I have to go watch all the movies, right?
Not obligate. It's theoretical. You can watch the movies.
It was a joke.
I do know that Ball of Fire is free on YouTube, and it's a really delightful movie. So
okay.
A bunch of these are free. You never know. All right. Well, have a great day, and thank you so much for playing, everyone. Bye.